it's Gabrielle Nicolay from SpeechKids and Raising Orchid Kids, where we teach little kids to talk and help parents understand their kids. And Dina is back, Dina Farmer of Lily and Magnolia Travel, which is, if you haven't heard the previous episode, you should go back and listen or watch the previous video with Dina. But Dina, just introduce yourself briefly, who you are and what you do.
So, hello, I'm Dina Farmer. Trying to shut off my phone right now because I forgot.
Ooh, me too. Thank you.
There we go. So I'm the owner of Lily and Magnolia Travel, which is a full-service autism travel agency. And I help families with autistic kids travel the world. And it's my baby, my third baby. Because I think if you listen to the last episode, it spawned from us being a military family, having to move around, and as we moved around the world and my oldest son started to struggle before we knew that he was diagnosed with autism. How do I say that? Like, that's not right, but backwards.
Yeah. No.
He was diagnosed with autism, and then like we were still traveling, but things got more difficult. And I realized, like, as things got more difficult, like, how can I help him travel the world and move with the military and make it easier for him?
Yeah.
And as I went on this journey, which I know other military families have done this as well, I discovered that there wasn't very many accommodations for families with autistic kids. Or if there were, they weren't advertised very well. So I decided to pivot my travel agency. I know it's like the big buzzword of 2022. Right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, pivot.
Pivot. And so, no, but this is, I mean, you're laughing at yourself as you're talking, but number one, there's a huge need. Number two, as you know from personal experience, it can feel very daunting to plan travel with someone, a family member who is autistic. Like, that's hard, or it can be. And so there are some things that people need to think about that you know how to think about. There are some things that people know to be ready for that they're not really sure how to put in action when they're on a trip. And so you help people do that, which is amazing and excellent. So today we are going to talk about some destinations that you might want to consider for 2023. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it.
And one's definitely, I would recommend that maybe you put off until wintertime because it's hot in that destination. Okay. This summer it'll be awful. You'll not thank me later for that.
Okay. So flag that one for us. But let's jump in. Where should we go with our artistic people?
Oh my gosh.
2023.
So one of my favorite places is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I say that because the same organization that I'm certified through, the International Board of Credentialing Continuing Education, or the IBCCS, certified the entire Parks and Recreation for this city, which is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So they have programs to help autistic travelers, regardless of age, to visit attractions in the area. Like, I know they have a Ferris wheel there on the pier, and they've got like an amazing aquarium and the Wonderworks and all that things in South Carolina, or Myrtle Beach specifically, coupled with a CAN card. I think it stands for Champion Autism Network. And this card helps you to get priority seating for restaurants and to skip the lines for some of the attractions, which I'm just like both the IBCCS and CAN working together in the city to make your visit there easier is just like top of my list. Like, amazing. It's almost like going to a theme park, but having it like help for the entire city, you know?
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. So Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. And that's a summertime thing, or is that the place where it's really hot?
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay.
No. You can go there. It's nice. I mean, because it's a beach destination. So it's right there on the beach. And I know they call it, like, is it the beach? That's their slogan for Myrtle Beach. But it's perfect for spring break. It's perfect for summer. It'll probably be a little bit too chilly in the wintertime. But if you like going to the beach in the winter, then it's not a terrible idea either.
Actually, plenty of people do. My husband prefers the beach in the winter to the summer because he just gets too hot. He's like, I don't want to go to the beach in the summer. I'm like, really? But anyway, that's a separate conversation. Okay, Myrtle Beach, check it out. Everybody's trained. Amazing. Oh my God.
Right. It's amazing. And I love that they have, I think they're one of the few places that has the CAN card, which is like, that needs to show up all over the country. But I love that they have that program there. So
amazing.
It's awesome. And it's free to sign up. So you don't have to, nothing, no particulars, just sign up on their website.
Okay.
I turned off notifications here, but not on my computer. Oh my goodness.
That's all good. All right. What's next?
Hawaii, of course. Because like, I know, I saw all these beach
Really?
places, right?
Of course.
But I know, of course. Only I say that because this is a generalized statement, right? And it's not true for everybody. But from what I've experienced and the clients that I've worked with and my own kids, a lot of autistic kids love the beach. So it makes sense to go to a destination that is full of beaches and some of the most beautiful beaches in the entire world. And you don't need a passport to go to Hawaii because it's one of the states. I get that question a lot. You don't need a passport to go to Hawaii.
It's so far, by the way, though. That's like one of the downsides is the long plane ride.
Yeah.
Particularly from the East Coast. If you're from the West Coast, it's totally reasonable. But it is, I went to Hawaii for the first time in 2021. It was unbelievable. I was like, can I live here?
I know. I love it. I love it. To be transparent, we lived there, we were stationed there for a little while. And I just like, if my husband ever got orders, I'd be like, I don't know when they're coming to get our stuff, but I already have our plane tickets. So if you want to stay back here, you can. But yeah, it's so great. And like the people are so nice, and the beaches are so clean. All the beaches are public beaches, so you don't have to pay to go to any of the beaches. You have to pay for parking, of course, but you don't have to pay to visit any of the beaches. And if you have children that have special interests, like my boys love volcanoes, and I know Mauna Loa is erupting right now as we're filming. But like each island has a volcano, whether it's dormant or active. All the active volcanoes are currently on the big island of Hawaii, but you can go and you can see Haleakala on Maui. You can go see Waialeale on Kauai and Diamond Head on Oahu. And there's just so many things in history. It's magical.
And for little geologists,
yeah,
so we know, right? Kids with autism have often, not always, but sometimes have a special interest. And if that is rocks or volcanoes, it's fantastic.
It's perfect.
I wanted to pause about the beach because you made this comment about that many kids with autism love the beach. And there's a couple of different things at play. And so I just want to break it down and be very specific about why that is. Part of it is, number one, being in nature is just really good for everybody's nervous system. And it's especially effective. It has a special effect on people with autism. This is a gross generalization. And so again, we don't want to say like, this is true for everybody.
Right, because it's not.
To the extent that systems, the physiological systems of people with autism are sensitive, they are affected positively by nature. So that's number one. Number two, from a sensory perspective, water, sand, outdoor, wind, if you're, sometimes there's issues with like hair in the face or whatever, but that has a really calming effect as well, is that whole body sensory experience. Also, by the way, when you're at the beach, you don't have to be wearing very many clothes, which from a sensory perspective is a really great thing for many autistic children. I know lots who never want to wear pants. They just don't want to wear pants. And you don't have to at the beach. So, okay. So Hawaii, okay. Myrtle Beach, Hawaii, where else?
This is going to sound a little silly, but Houston, Texas. Only because, again, it's one of those locations that they do have tons of children's museums. They have tons of activities for you to do. It's not that far from the beach if you want to go there, but they're also home to the Space Center in Houston, which I have more, not only do my kids love volcanoes, but they love space. So it's another destination that there's tons of autism friendly things to do in that city, coupled with the space program, which I know I'm not going to hype it up a lot. It's like a city that you probably visit for a couple of days and then go somewhere else, but it's totally worth it to stop there and check out all the space things there.
Yeah. I just, again, if you've got a little astronaut on your hands, why not?
Why not? Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Fantastic.
Now we're going to dive back into volcanoes again, because we have one on the mainland, of course. So Yellowstone National Park is a super volcano. I had no idea about that, by the way. I only learned that because my kids told me. I didn't know that.
Hilarious.
But of course, it's a destination that's perfect for the summertime because everything will be open, all the roads will be open because unfortunately Yellowstone closes down because Wyoming gets snow.
Mhm. Lots.
Yes, a ton.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either, but it's a beautiful place that you can go and you can see Old Faithful, and then you can drive around and be very careful with witnessing is it buffalo or is it buffalo
Bison,
or
I want to say.
bison?
I don't know.
One, I'm not sure either, but don't mess with them, please. Just don't.
Oh my God.
It's
Okay. So
dangerous.
when we went to Yosemite a couple of years ago, the park ranger actually had to say, don't take selfies with bears.
Oh my God.
Like, he was like, I can't believe I have to say these words in this order, but I do. Don't take selfies with bears. So by the same token, don't take selfies with large mammals of any kind in a
At all.
national park.
At the zoo, maybe. Okay, that's like a safer place to do that. But
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my God. Okay. So Yellowstone, fantastic. Love.
And just gorgeous. And like we're back in nature again. So there's so many hiking trails that you can do there. It's like a lot of this is naturey. Do you get the theming here? I think Houston is our
Yeah.
outlier here, but a lot of it is being out in nature. So
Yep.
it's just gorgeous. It's just
Yep.
gorgeous there.
Fantastic.
And there's so many different places that you don't have to stay specifically in Yellowstone National Park. There's like a ton of cities around the park that you can stay at, and it's so big. I had no idea how big it is that you can even stay like over state lines in Montana and like still witness the vast size.
Yeah. Okay. And so as you're talking, I'm already like, oh my God, Yosemite is like, sorry, Yellowstone is like, it's so big. It's so overwhelming. This is the part you help people with, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to take it in like, and I love to tell people that it's like, it's just like going to a theme park, like Disney, where there's a bazillion parks there, right? You don't have to take it all in at once. Just take chunks of it and then come back later.
Mhm.
Or we just say, we're just going to plan this portion of your trip out, and then we can plan another trip, or we just hit the most important things. Like if Old Faithful is absolutely a must that you have to see, then like let's plan your trip to make sure that you're in the area so that you're not worried about like, oh my gosh, are we going to make it, or are we going to have like time to crunch all this stuff in? Like we don't need to put everything on your schedule. Like let's just focus on the most important things so that you can still have a really great trip, you know?
Yeah. Okay. And that's like, again, that's the part you help people with, which is like, that's the best part. It's amazing. Because like, if I have to figure out all the logistics, that sounds too hard. So fantastic. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Colorado. One of my favorite states that I've also lived in. It's gorgeous in the summertime. I mean, it's beautiful in wintertime, but if you are really sensitive to altitude, because remember, like it's the mile high. I mean, Denver is a mile high city, but there's lots of other cities in Colorado. Like I lived in the Springs and it was at 7,000 feet where I live specifically in the Springs. So it's high. And then plus you've got mountains that are even taller. Like Pikes Peak is at 14,000 feet. So just be careful. Like if you are susceptible to what is it called? Altitude sickness, or like changes in pressure. Cause I get really bad headaches when the pressure changes too much for me. And that's happens with snowfall, of course. So take this with a grain of salt. Know yourself before you go. I don't want to ever send you somewhere that like it's going to be awful, but there's so many different things in the state to see that are autism friendly. That's where the U.S. Olympic team trains in Colorado Springs. So they have a U.S. Olympic team training center that you can actually go and watch the athletes. If your child is interested in sports, like anything like that, that's something amazing to go see. Cool. Back out in nature. We've got Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs, the Cog Railway. I think Samantha Brown went to Colorado Springs and Places You Love recently. And she has this whole like episode that's dedicated to Colorado Springs and all the things that are there. And it's, I was just like, oh, love that she shared the city that I lived in.
Excellent. Yeah. In fact, I was in Colorado Springs this fall and we went to Garden of the Gods. It's so amazing. Pretty. You could spend the whole day there.
You really could. And like try to hold balanced rock up.
Yeah. Fun.
It's so pretty. And there's so many different things, like the paint mines in Callahan that's right outside of Colorado Springs. And then Denver's got, the Air and Space Museum there. Then you can go to Rocky Mountain National Park, which gosh, so gorgeous. It's
Mm.
so, it's beautiful. And you can see elk, like they're so big.
They're huge. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like I get excited because I love wildlife, but it's just like amazing to be able to just to again go hiking and go out to these beautiful destinations that are within the US. I know I'm like making it mostly US because I always say start small, right? And then start domestically. And then as your child gets more comfortable,
Yeah.
then going on longer flights. And that's another strategy. I was thinking about Hawaii just now again, but we were talking about flying from the East Coast to Hawaii, which is a very long trip. It's like 7 or 8 hours.
Mhm.
But instead of making that big long trip you're undertaking, why not stop somewhere for like
Mhm.
24 to 48 hours, stretch your legs and then go
Mhm.
on, because it's about a 6-ish hour flight from LA or Seattle or
Yeah.
anywhere on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I always say break your trip up if it's, if you're able to, just to make
Right.
it easier on yourself,
Right. Yeah. And then you're going to know your kid too, right? Like it's and your family, because for some people that's going to be miserable. It's like, let me
Right.
just get there, right?
Yeah.
And I'll do the thing. But there are and so it's funny because I have a very close friend who would never fly 12 hours on a plane if she didn't have to. She would
Right.
stop in LA, for example. And, and I am the kind of person who I'm like, no, I'm going to set my body and my mind to it. I'm just going to get there and then I'm going to reap the benefit after. And neither approach is the right one. It's just what works.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's what works best for you. And you obviously know your child and yourself. So whatever works the best,
Yeah. Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
And I'm also like one of those people that I'm like, I have to get there. I don't want to stop 75,000 times. I just want to go. And speaking of that, like the irony of that, right, is we were talking a little bit before we get to the very last place, which I'm like super excited to share.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not perfect. I'm a mom of autistic kids, and my travels are absolutely not perfect with my kids. Nothing ever goes according to plan for me. It's just the way that it is, And I live like 7-ish hours from the theme park capital of the world in Orlando. So in theory, it should be a really easy. You drive for 3.5 hours, you stop, then you drive for 3.5 hours, and you're there.
Mm-hmm.
That did not happen. Recently, I took my boys to Legoland, Florida. We stopped 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Drive down there because my son, there's just a whole list of things like my butt is too warm, or I'm uncomfortable, or my shirt is itchy, or just there's a whole list of everything that went wrong. And then we had to stop and we had to eat, we had to get gas, and it was just really hard. It was a challenge getting down there. And then we got down there and my oldest son was like super excited. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm tall enough for all the rides. I can ride everything in this park. It's going to be amazing. And we get there and my youngest son is like, even with the pass, because there's an autism pass at Legoland as well.
Okay.
Even with the help of the pass, he was like, I don't want to ride this. I'm not riding that. We would get in line. He would see the ride, and I shared all the rides with him beforehand. And he would get into the ride vehicle. Nope. We had to exit. I can't say how many times we were unable to ride rides, and there was lots of crying, and everybody was very upset. And I was just like, it's okay though. It's okay because I've exposed him to this so that the next time that we go to Legoland won't be as scary because now he's actually physically experienced it rather than looking at it through a POV on YouTube,
Yeah.
And it's just the way that it is. We've done that like at the Georgia Aquarium too. That happened. He was just like, whoa, this place is way too big. Like I had no idea. And then now he's like, when are we going to go see the whale shark again? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I exposed you to this. So now that the next time we go, it won't be as scary.
Can feel, I love what you're saying, because there's a couple of different things that happen. Number one, you allowed him, and the staff obviously allowed him to get in the thing and then to get out, right? Like
Yeah.
he made the final call. That's super important because I always say this, if it's not fun, it's not fun. Like the point is to have a good time. If you're not having a good time, don't do it. And you spent a fair amount of money on that vacation. The point of which was to expose him at the level he was ready to be exposed at.
Yes.
Not The point of which was that he would ride every ride 15 times and enjoy the hell out of it this time because this is how much money we paid. Those are different, right? And so what I hear
Yeah.
you saying is, it's completely awesome that we did this trip and that it turned out this way because that's what he was ready for. Yeah.
100. Yeah. And
Yeah.
now, like, he's still talking about it. He's still talking about the Georgia Aquarium and the whale sharks. He's still talking about Legoland. He still talks about the drive down there and how uncomfortable he was. And I was like, maybe
Yep.
it's just the car seat. Like maybe we just got to wait till he can transition to a booster, and that might make a world of a world of difference as opposed to being in a car seat, which I get it.
Yeah. But nothing
but
went wrong on your trip,
no,
right? The trip
no.
was the way it was.
I mean, it was. Of course, my oldest son, absolutely, he was frustrated, but we worked through that of like, yeah, it's frustrating when we, don't get what we want when we want to, but what can we do about the situation? How can we handle it to make it better? How can you support yourself emotionally so that it's not like the end of the world?
Yeah.
And we live 7 hours from all these theme parks. They're not going away.
Yeah.
We can come back.
Yeah.
We absolutely can.
And maybe you'll go back. I mean, this is something else that we don't, I don't know if we talk enough about, which is it's totally okay to take a vacation with your non-Orchid, non-autistic child. That's okay too.
That's true.
Right?
That's
like
true.
you can leave a family member in the excellent care of somebody with whom they're going to have a fantastic time and go have a vacation that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to have.
Totally.
And you might decide that that's absolutely what you want to do, and you might decide that that sounds horrible, so don't do it.
Right? Either way, I really like to take I like to, especially because my boys have such a big age gap. They're like 6. I mean, it's not that big, but they're 6 years apart. And I like to take my oldest because both my kids are autistic, but he's at a different level than his younger brother, right? So he's able to handle more things, he's able to articulate his needs better and advocate for himself. So when we go to like, I really want to take him to, we are like big theme park lovers, but I really want to take him to Universal because his brother is not going to be able, because he's shorter, like he's not going to be able to get on those rides, period. Like that's just the fact of life. Yeah. Like you've got to be at least like 8.
Yeah.
I don't know, to emotionally handle him and probably be the right height. But I said, this is going to be something just special between you and me that, we get to spend time together because I love you. And I know that you enjoy doing these things, Exactly. I want to make it special for him.
Yeah. There's, again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. The question is, what support do you need? The reason you're here is because you are a major source of support for families who are asking themselves these questions. And then you get to play and you get to break all the rules and all of the things you think you know about how families work and how families travel and where they go and what they should do and how it should go. When you have kids who are orchids and have needs that are, sort of a little bit extra from what we assume is going to happen when we become parents, you have to question things. You just do, because the stuff you thought was going to work is not working. So if it's not working, don't do it.
I love that. It's so true. I mean, I feel like that's true for life. Like,
yes, pretty much, right? Yeah. If it's not working, don't do it. And then, we ask ourselves, like, I wonder why this isn't working. Oh, okay, well, maybe we just shouldn't be doing it.
Probably not. Yeah. Like, I mean, if like, I don't ever want to invite someone to plan a trip with me if they know that their child is not going to handle. Like, I love theme parks. Like, I can't stop saying that. But like, if you don't love theme parks, like, why are we planning a trip there? That makes no sense, Or I've had a client that she's like, oh my gosh, I want to go to Kauai. I want to go to Kauai. I want to go to Kauai. I'm like, great, let's plan a trip there. No, let's go to the Big Island. That makes no sense. Let's go to Kauai. Why are you withholding that from yourself? Or why are you doing that to yourself? Like, let's go to Kauai. Your kids are going to have an amazing time. You can go see a dormant volcano. You can go see the Grand Canyon of Hawaii. Like, let's go there. Let's make this happen,
Oh, I'm so curious. Did she go?
She did go. Thank goodness. talked her into it. I was like, I'm not booking you a trip to the Big Island. This doesn't make any sense. You said repeatedly how much you want to go to Kauai. Why are we going to the Big Island? Like,
My God, travel agent and life coach.
yeah.
The farmer.
I need another certification now.
All right. Are we ready for our last destination?
Yes.
Okay.
This is going to be a little bit of a surprise, but not a big surprise because I've talked about it a lot. But Mesa, Arizona is the last one on my list. You can go in the winter, but let's remember that Arizona is in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. It's very hot in the summertime. We're looking at 100 degrees plus. So if you love the heat, you don't mind being out in the what people used to tell me was a dry heat.
Heat over 100 degrees is just heat.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. I mean, Arizona is a beautiful state, but Mesa is a certified autism city. So the entire city of Mesa, Arizona got a certification through the IBCCS. And they also have programs that can support you while you're visiting Mesa. And there's so many different attractions that have got their staff certified. There's so many different autism certified centers in the city. It's just a big bubble of support and an amazing place to visit. If you don't want to visit in the summertime, I definitely recommend like wintertime when it's not as hot, but
yeah,
consider that a lot of the water activities probably won't be open in the wintertime. But I love, it's such a gorgeous place. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, there's the Idea Museum that is there. There's the Butterfly Museum that's there. They've got like the Arizona National History Museum is there, and the Saguaro Lake Ranch that has like a cowboy breakfast that you can enjoy and like a buffet lunch and dinner. It's just, the whole place is amazing. And then you can go out and see other places in Arizona, like, the Grand Canyon, which is probably 1 or 2 hours away from Phoenix, and Flagstaff is really close to Sedona if you're interested in the vortexes and all the beautiful red rocks that are out there. Tucson's kind of far, probably like another 2 or 3 hours south of there, but it's beautiful. Yeah. Mesa's your stopping point to get to the adventure of Arizona.
It's so interesting, this whole autism city certification designation. I love this.
Yeah, and there's currently the only city in the world that's been designated by the IBCCS. I'm just like, more places, please come up, and more what do you call it? The Parks and Recreation departments in different cities are becoming certified. Okay. But an entire city hasn't been designated besides Mesa at this point.
Okay. So Myrtle Beach is like the Parks and Rec staff and then the restaurants pairing. Okay. Can you mention that CAN card again? What is that?
Oh, the Champions of Autism Network.
Mm-hmm.
I can send you a link to it when we get done.
We'll link to it in the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really interesting and like something that's worth exploring a little bit. So
yes. And I think, like I said, I think the program is like totally amazing. I'm sure there's more places on the list, but I just know specifically in Myrtle Beach, they support that area. So, but if you go to autismtravel.com, I'm not afraid to share that. They have tons of other autism certified centers that you can find there. Oh, cool. And Parks and Recreation Department. Like you talked about Yosemite, and the city of Visalia, California, their Parks and Rec has been certified too. Okay. So you can go and see the big redwoods, knowing that you're being supported by like having an autism certified center within their Parks and Recs.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh my God. Okay. We have 5. It's like, what did you give us 5? Let's review them one more time. Myrtle Beach,
Hawaii. I said Houston, Yellowstone,
and Mesa,
and then
Arizona.
Mesa. Oh no, Colorado, 6.
Oh, 6 and Colorado. Yeah. All right, check them out, guys. And if you want to book a trip, call Dina.
I'm always available. I'm on Instagram a lot. Don't feel intimidated by it. Feel free to send me a message.
All right, we're going to link to Dina's site in the notes. We're going to link to CAN in the notes, and Dina, we'll have you back next time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.